Please welcome back former CIA officer Jason Hanson.
Former CIA Jason Hanson.
This handsome fella is Jason Hanson.
Okay. This is Jason Hanson, former CIA guy.
Right now, I'm going to tell you exactly what you should do if the ATF ever shows up on your door. My name is Jason Hanson. I'm a former CIA officer. I love guns. I buy a lot of guns, and I share a lot of stuff that's awesome on this channel. So make sure you like, subscribe, turn on that ring notification bell. But let's get back to why you're here. What do you do if the ATF ever shows up at your front door, wants to know, hey, let me see your guns? The reason I bring this up is there's a video going around right now where the ATF shows up at a gentleman's door. This guy had legally purchased several guns in the past few months, and he'd purchased multiple guns on the same day, which triggers a report that goes directly to the ATF. So the ATF showed up at this guy's front door, and they basically said, hey, you know, this is more of a courtesy check. We're here to make sure that you have all these guns. There's been a lot of guns that have been stolen lately, and we want to make sure that your guns are all there, they're not stolen. So can we please come in and check all the serial numbers on your guns to make sure you have all the guns that you bought over the past few months? Now, this gentleman asked a bunch of questions, and he was like, you know, hey, why do you need to do this? And he asked a bunch of questions, but eventually he relented and he let the ATF come in. He let them check the serial number. Now, they had no warrant. He didn't have to do that. There was absolutely no reason that he needed to let them in the house. So I'm going to tell you exactly what to do if the ATF ever shows up on your front door, because it is very, very simple. It is very, very quick. All you've got to do is say, no, thank you. If they don't have a warrant, they have no reason to be obviously coming in your house. So I'm a former police officer before I joined the CIA. I love law enforcement, and I believe you should always be respectful and polite. However, as any police officer will tell you, when we were first training the academy and we're first learning everything, every police officer is told, hey, if you're ever on the other side of things, meaning somebody's questioning you, you immediately shut your mouth, request a lawyer, don't consent to anything, yada, yada, yada. That's what every police officer is told, right? Again, request a lawyer, keep quiet, don't consent, and just wait. So when the ATF shows up on the door, if they don't have a warrant, and they say, hey, I want to check your guns. I want to see if you have all the guns on the serial numbers. All you got to do is say, no, thank you. If they keep harassing you and everything, obviously, you can call a lawyer. I believe everybody should have a good lawyer. I always joke that the only lawyer I've ever met that I liked was my wife, which is why I married her. But in all reality, just like any profession, there are wonderful lawyers, there are terrible lawyers. So have a good lawyer that you can rely on. I certainly do. But if the ATF keeps badgering you and they don't have a warrant, stand firm. The reason that that guy relented is I totally understand that a lot of people are intimidated by law enforcement. If you have several ATF agents and police standing on your front door and they're armed and they're in their tactical vests, yes, it can be intimidating. But remember, as of right now, this is still the US of A, so tell them no. Another very important thing I want to share with you. The ATF can never show up on my front door because they don't know where I live. Because I'm former CIA, because I still have nut jobs who come after me, because I get death threats every year. Basically, because I help good people get rid of bad people. That makes it sound like I have people killed, which I do not. I'll give you an example. Because I help maybe domestic violence victims escape their husbands, the husbands don't like me. So because I help good people stay away from bad guys, the bad guys don't love me. Which is why I have nothing that leads back to my home address. So that guy who's filling out the information, the ATF paperwork, they knew where his guns were registered. They found his house. Me, none of my vehicle registrations go back to my home address. My driver's license does not have my home address. I use a UPS store and PO boxes for all my mail. I have not had mail addressed to my or come to my front door in years, ever since I joined the CIA. I used to have a PO box when I lived in Virginia with the agency, but now most states, I got a plane going over me right now, but now most states will not allow you to have a PO box, so get a UPS store or something like that. I encourage you to have nothing that traces back to your house. I don't own my house in my own name. You can do it in LLCs wrapped in trusts and just make it, it's not complicated, but meaning it's not complicated for you to do, but make it very hard for somebody to find out where you live, which is what I prefer with all the nut jobs in this world. So if the ATF ever again try to show up at my front door, they're not gonna be able to find an address. They're gonna show up at the UPS store or PO box or one of the many addresses I've sprinkled around the US. Another thing I've mentioned in the past, I'm a huge fan of ghost guns. So these are guns that you can legally make. I like those because they're not registered, they have no serial numbers. So if the ATF shows up at your door, you can say, yeah, here are the guns that I have, which are guns you've bought through a gun store. So those are on the ATF's docket, but you also have ghost guns that don't exist anywhere. Obviously, I pray the government never comes and confiscates our guns or attempts to confiscate our guns and violate our Second Amendment rights and other rights. But remember, anything can happen. Please protect yourself, hide your address if you can, have some ghost guns. Always be respectful to law enforcement, but be firm, tell them no, because guess what? If you showed up on the ATF's doorstep and said, hey, Mr. ATF agent, I want to see your guns, guess what? He's gonna tell you no. He's gonna ask for a lawyer. He's not gonna consent to anything. So you are doing the exact same thing that any ATF agent, that any police officer would do. So please protect your rights. Please protect your privacy. Make sure you want to click below because you're going to get the guide I wrote of how to legally hide your guns to make sure that the government can never confiscate them. Obviously, very important to protect your rights, protect our Second Amendment rights. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on that ring notification. I am former CIA officer Jason Hanson, and I'm out.